specific and uniform way. And how he did this, I couldn't possibly tell you. It's like one of the most genius insights, one of the sort of greatest steps of mankind, like maybe the greatest, brain or scientist ever to be alive. Newton somehow looks at these things, thinks about these things, and comes up with this idea, comes up with this equation that correlates mass and distance. And the shocking, jaw-dropping thing about this equation is that it accurately predicts this acceleration that we see towards the ground. It accurately predicts where a apple's going to end up if I throw it at a certain angle with a certain force because of this gravity. It accurately does that. And also simultaneously accurately describes and predicts the shape of these orbits around the sun, which is it is mind-blowing when you think about it. I just think it's amazing.
Feel stressed? What?
Amazed.
Stop being patronizing.
No, I feel amazed, I said.
Lower your shoulders, Scott. You're so stressed.
Why is it that you can't trust your everyday senses? The only time you shouldn't trust your senses is when a third thing is introduced that alters them or like changes it. Like alcohol, drugs, mental disability. Other than that, you can trust your senses because that's how you operate every day in your life. Yes. Yes. That was actually an issue that was brought up with Tesla's cars, right? They were too quiet and they had, sorry.
Deaf people do that all the time.
That you can do that. Deaf people do that all the time. I'd still do it.
You mean like having music in my ears while I'm walking?
And then that was also an issue brought up with Elon Musk's electric cars, right? They didn't make any sounds, and people were like, "Oh shit, this car is behind me," and almost turned into me, because I wasn't paying attention, didn't hear it. But you can still trust your senses. You can still see the car. Like it's not. That's an additional sense that you can use, but that doesn't mean that you can't use your other sense. But I can still draw a conclusion that a car is coming with my eyes. I don't necessarily need to hear it.
I don't see where you're going with this anyway, Chemo, because almost none of these scientific data was taken with just our senses. Most of it was taken with scientific instruments, which can be carefully and accurately calibrated. Measurements of things. No, I mean data.
Come on, dude. That's
bloody semantics.
You're just buying yourself time.
If you want to make yourself sound ridiculous, though, Chemo, go ahead.
What if the car is invisible and it doesn't make any sound? Then what do you do?
Well, then when it crashes into you, you'll feel it. That's your other sense.
The point is, though, Chemo, that people didn't just go out and look up in the night sky using their eyes and say, I've just calculated the orbit of Mercury. No, they used scientific instruments, which, again, I say, can be carefully and accurately calibrated. I'm not shouting. I'm just talking.
Yeah,
he's hardly shouting, Chemo. Don't be ridiculous.
Yeah, you know what?
Yeah,
Oh,
but you're saying we
Kimo,
can't rely on our senses, and I'm saying, yeah, we don't. We rely on the instruments that we use, not our senses. Yeah, and that's why we use instruments to measure it.
Yeah, Paul, tell me. Does it tell me? Tell me. I was supporting you.
Yeah, tell him. Make it as long-winded as possible.
Tell him. Of course you can. Remember that when you report, like, say, what something looks like or where something is, and you don't report how it sounds, well, then it's fine that you didn't hear it because you're not actually reporting information about how it sounds. You're simply reporting where it's located or what it appeared to look like. You don't, yeah, if you use more senses, you'll get more information, but you don't need to, hold on, can I finish? You don't need to use more senses in order to get valid information. That's the key. Of course you can. I could look at the moon. I could walk outside at night, look at the moon, and start sketching it, make a valid conclusion about what the moon looks like. I don't need to hear it. I don't need to taste it. I can just look at it. Yeah, they went outside and they looked at the moon and drew a picture. That's true.
More
You look at things and you say something about it. Okay. Pretty much what everybody does in life, honestly. Use their senses and they make sense.
Yeah, but again, Chemo, we don't just use our senses, do we? We use telescopes, we use theodolites, we use spectrometers, we use all sorts of things like that. So we actually gather more information than we can with just our senses. That's the understatement of the
thinking
year.
about using a telescope. Depends on what sort of focal lens you're using, what sort of telescope you're using, where you're looking at, what time of year you're looking at it. It depends on a whole heap of factors.
Meticulously recording conditions around and the observations of the test or the observations. So when it becomes science and not flat Earth.
I mean, I can hear you're low, Moyak, but we can hear you. But you're just low.
You sound like a homunculus, Moyak.
Try reset it.
This guy just call you a homunculus?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't you mean horizontal?
Why should we say that when it's not true?
It's because it's not true.
We've demonstrated that, at least theoretically, with the gas centrifuge. We've demonstrated that with a gas centrifuge. You can have gas pressure next to a vacuum.
I'll be there. I'll be there. Well, I'll be hosting part of it, so yeah, you can come on for a chat. Oh, I can't
Really?
wait to get you on there again.
Yep. I can't wait to demolish you yet again, Chemo,
This is gonna be
as we do every
hilarious.
time. Yep.
Plum. Plumb lines are parallel. You're done. Plumb lines are parallel.
You have no luck whatsoever. Okay.
Don't,
Chemo.
let him finish. Let him finish. Let him finish.
He's
Plumb
talking about
lines are
boundaries.
parallel.
Oh my god, who's talking through a tin fucking can?
Ah, fuck off. I can't help it.
Can
Mike,
hardly
you're really
hear
out loud,
you.
dude.
I know. I tried.
You what? You what?
He's got AM radio.
Chemo. Right. Now, back to the question I asked you over an hour ago. Why did you lie about what was said? Okay. There we go. There's another lie.
Testing.
Well, you do have an agenda. So, Chemo, you do have an agenda. Chemo. Hey, Chemo, straw man much?
Check.
Oh,
But
guys,
Chemo, you
guys,
don't believe in God
let's
either.
not talk over each
So-
other. Let's not talk over each other. Go ahead, Kimo. Finish your point, please.
So
Because you can't answer the question that was posed to you, and you just proved it. Thank you very much. Hey, Chemo, do you believe in the Gleason map? So that's your map, right? That's your map? Okay, so everybody here in the chat, in the voice chat, you heard that? Chemo's map is the Gleason's map. Okay? Yep, you hear that? He'll go with it. Alright, that means that's what he aspires to, is the Gleason map, because he
I
says
don't know
it's the
if you-
most accurate.
you probably should have run that past QE and Nathan before you said that, Spurs. You might get in trouble for that. Lots of things. Lots of things. Well, do you want to start with the sun? Do you want to start with the sunrise from like where I
Guys,
live?
one at a time. Let each other finish these other sentences. Let's not get it carried away.
Where does it say that? Yeah, because I've got a half-hour video of a sunrise from the east coast of Australia. I'd like you to explain if you. Well, I've got a half-hour video of a sunrise.
Guys, one at a time. One at a time. Let Cypher say what he's trying to say, Kimo. You're over talking him. Come on, Cypher.
Hang on. Hang on.
Again,
Wait. Cypher. Sorry, I just have to interject here. The description of the Gleason map. Map of the globe stretched and flattened into a circular plane. Oopsie. No. This description doesn't say projection. It just says map of the globe stretched and flattened into a circular plane. So don't insert words I didn't say.
Well, the
Did I
Gleason
say
is.
that?
But you said the Gleason is. But you said the Gleason is, and the Gleason's. Well, you said the Gleason's to be used, and the Gleason's a globe stretched over a flat surface. So it's got globe in it. Welcome to Globe, Chemo. Oh, awesome. Good to have you on our side. Go troll the flat earthers for us now, will you?
But
You
hang
said you-
on.
Gleason
Hang on.
map.
Where did that
Gleason
come up
map.
for in my
Yeah.
description of your Gleason's map?
Mm.
Where did I say that? But Chemo, Chemo,
Well, that's Royce Gleason
Chemo,
out there.
get back on track, please.
Try
Please
again.
stop. Hang on. Stop obfuscating from the point that was made, and stick to the simple fact that it says map of the globe stretched and flattened into a circular plane. That is the description of the Gleason's map. Says nothing about that it used a globe that wasn't for scientific purposes or educational purposes. Doesn't say any of that.
You said it was labeled on, all globes.
No,
So
it's not.
can you find me a globe that has that message written on it, please?
It's labeled on Globe. You find it at Walmart.
But is that on every single globe in every educational institution?
That was a question, Chemo.
Chemo, come back to, hey,
Mate,
come
you're
back to your
stretching.
plane, come back to the plane, come back down. Okay, you're off in La La Land at the moment, right? Now, is that every globe in every educational institution? Is it? Do you have evidence of every globe? What about the one you're standing on?
Boom! Oh, you
Yeah, that was good.
wanted
You gotta give him
that
this.
one.
That was good. That was a good one.
Do you want an explanation, Chemo? Quick one. Do you want an explanation for why these stickers are on these globes?
The toy one.
I do. I want an explanation. I do.
It's because I think at least in some cases they are manufactured in China and exported through India, and there is a dispute over
Yeah,
Oh, the
Taiwan.
borders.
I
Yeah.
think somewhere in the Himalayas, somewhere.
Yeah,
Tibet.
I did hear that. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
over
so I
Tibet.
think China print it as in one way, and India object to that, and so they slap these stickers on it.
Yeah, it's through the
funny.
Himalayas.
So, however, you can go to a website. If you could search educational globes, you can get ones that are specifically named as educational, and clearly they don't. They're not going to sell
That's
an,
amazing.
They're not going to sell an educational globe with a sticker on the bottom that says "not for educational purposes."
Yeah, right.
But Gleason was a flat earther, though. So he
Yeah,
was,
interesting.
whatever he said, he was a flatty.
Yep.
There must not be. Is there a scale on the Gleason map?
Oh dear.
Is there a scale?
That's not what we learned, though.
Am I still really quiet?
Oh,
Remember, the key is that it's not true that you can't trust your senses, and that you can trust your senses, and you should use your senses, and you use them to gather information, and just be clear about what information you gather with them. If you want or not, depending. Yeah, I think I'm okay. I'm amazed at the ability of the gravity equation. Oh, sorry, I didn't know you wanted to interrupt me. Okay, my bad. Go ahead, please. You seem agitated. I was in the middle of the sentence and you jumped in like all screaming and yelling at me.
This is an
I
example of
heard-
you not engaging, though, Chemo. You know, Scott gave that really good description of Newton and gravity, and your response was to ask him how he was feeling. You know that
Yeah.
that
Yes,
is
it
an
was a
example.
response.
That's an example of what he's talking about when he says that you don't engage. You know, it's can anyone have a conversation with someone who does that? You know, it's.
No, you weren't saying that, even remotely. That's not how it happened at all, but it's okay. We don't need to go over exactly how it happened, but your description of how it happened is a complete fair. Oh, sorry, I didn't realize you wanted to interrupt. Please, go ahead. Go ahead.
can I talk to you, Mr. Scott?
What did you say?
Can I talk to Mr. Scott
So,
for a
Kimo,
second?
can I just could you let people finish the sentence though, Kimo? That'd be nice. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Davos.
Yeah, I found a PDF about the Gleason map. Okay, the only patent that was actually filed for the Gleason map, and it's a time chart.
Okay, so I think Kimo, it doesn't really matter how the conversation actually went, the one you depicted, or the one that you just redid, but it wasn't the way you said. But it's okay. We don't need to go over it. But I think the key would be if we did engage each other, it would be so much more fun, don't you think? It would be so much more fun than just the game of how much can Kimo evade. I think you should tell Davros, you should tell Kimo what you told me, because I'm not sure what the relevance was, but he may understand it.
Okay, so Chemo, the map that you ascribe to is only a time chart. It's to allow people to understand what the time is in one location on the Earth and to be able to measure the time in another. That is what the patent... Hey, excuse me? I wasn't finished. I posted the PDF of the actual patent, which is the original patent. It's got the patent number there. And it explains to you exactly what it was for. And it has nothing to do with geography. No, it doesn't say that. Okay. No, it doesn't. It doesn't say any of that in that patent. That's his patent. That's what he wrote up. That's what he wrote up to get his patent for that map as a time chart. So if you put arm G in a particular position, you then move the other arm around, it'll tell you the time in the other location. That's all it does.
I think the simple way to just clear up Chemo's question there, to all whom it may concern, be it known that I, Alexander Gleason, a citizen of the United States residing in Buffalo in the country of Erie in the state of New York, have invented a new and improved time chart, which the following specification. So I think, do you think that's reasonable to attribute that to Gleason? I don't want to make something that's an outlandish claim, so I'd love to get your view on that, Chemo.
That's pretty funny, Kimo. Come on. You couldn't get better evidence of that.
Think you do him, Dev.
Chemo, you seem to be not addressing what was said. Map a distance.
Yeah, I'd like to know how you're doing that. I mean, the Gleason map is an equidistant map from the North Pole, from the rotational angle, from the axis of rotation in the north. So can you tell me then, because Gleason, in as far as I understand the map model, doesn't claim that the east-west, it's just the lines of longitude are all right, all correct. So I agree, going north-south, you're going to have the right measurements. Going east-west, they're not going to be correct, and that's in the specification of a Gleason map.
By the way, Druss, I just need to address something. Chemo, just a quick thing. Chemo, quick thing. If I find that you edit anything that I've said to say something that I didn't say, I'll have you up for defamation.
Oh god.
Well, as absurd as it is for Devils to do that, I'm quite curious. Is he for real doing that, or is he not doing that? I mean, not that
I don't think so.
you can really have a.
He just slaps it on hold, doesn't he? I don't think he.
I don't know. Did that happen, Devils, or are you just speculating?
Because little birdie just told me something.
Okay, I don't know what that means, but is it real, or did it has it happened, or no?
No, it's going to be of the conversation that was previously had, where I stated that the Amazon goes through Central America, and then it was misconstrued because he thought I said Brazil was Central America. I said no, that's where the Amazon is, but the Amazon goes into Central America, right?
You're hedging your bets against the bet. I got you. Okay.
Yep.
Fair enough.
Well, you're gonna get the shit suit out of you.
Chemo. Chemo, what is the Gleason map for?
When did I say that?
He's just making stuff up. That's not how it happened. Come on.
It was actually Cypher that brought that particular point up earlier. You really should, if you're going to attribute things to people, you should try and be accurate on your attribution. We should just listen, actually. That would be a good fucking start.
What? I'm back. What did I do?
I actually have twins, and just by looking at them, I can tell the difference.
Hey, Chemo, what's the Gleason map for? Chemo, what's the Gleason map for? Still bad? Okay.
Question was, what is the Gleason map for?
Is that what it says? Is that what it says on it on the patent? Oh, for fuck's sake. Why can't other people? I mean, my
said, what is the patent for then? Yeah, the patent. So what's the patent for the Gleason map?
What did he state was its purpose? Wow.
Thank you. He asked, "What was the purpose? What was the purpose stated in the patent?" Because obviously that's going to be the guy describing the use of this particular method map, whatever's been patented. Yeah. So he's asking. So the patent will tell you what the use case is.
Chemo, quick question. Can you trust your senses? Okay, so if I said I sense that you are lying, can I trust that? Oh, but I used my hearing. Okay, so that's one of the other senses, right? Well, I have tested it, and you have been caught out lying before, and therefore, going by the fact that you've done it in the past, you could be doing it now.
Wouldn't that be intuition, though? I mean, you can hear words, but I don't know if you can hear the lie. You'd have to use your intuition to ferret it out. That would be the sense you'd have to focus on.
That's exactly the point. I have.
Is that what I did? I looked at them. I looked at the stars and said it must be gravity. Oh my gosh.
So
Can we
Scott,
just
do you
have
think
one
I'm
day,
correct?
Kimo, where you don't straw man, or you don't just make stuff up, or you just don't give a tour? Just one day. I'm all I'm asking for. Like for my birthday.
Well,
your
we
birthday.
have to
Happy
work on
birthday.
the intuition to make sure that you haven't been deceived, or see what else can back up what's
But
being
Lemon,
said.
Lemon, Chemo's deceiving us right now. Was he? Was he actually? Are you sure? Was he? Was he? Oh. But you didn't know he had a patent for his map, did you? But you didn't know what it was for. No, you didn't know what his patent was for until somebody told you. What? That's not in. No, the only thing I'm going to trust is the PDF about the map that you assert to, because that's the only information that comes with that map.
But patent doesn't really go with the map's appearance. It appears to be flat, with a south pole that's more like a south ring. So it, at the very least, seems to imply a bit of a different design. No south pole.
Oh my god.
The thing is,
The truth comes out.
Oh, blasphemy.
Wow.
well, we gotta have intellectual conversations, which is going to require us to be calm and thinking clearly.
That's all right, Lemon. We'll take you back. We'll bring you back into the fold, mate. Don't worry. If John throws you out, we'll take you back. Don't worry.
Thank you.
I always thought that the independent variable you have is the presumed cause, not the actual cause. I don't think you ever get the actual cause from an independent variable. It's the presumed cause, because the actual cause could still be in the stuff of the set of things that we do not know. Hence, we always use the term presumed cause.
Correct.
Good. Because there's so many causes, and ideally your cause would be independent, not change all over the place when something else changes. Ideal.
Brother, sister.
Presumed.
You better not go against John. You better not go against John, man.
Well, we got.
John.
He's got a lot of citations, Moryak. He can be very intimidating.
Yeah, all of them wrong. All of them are misrepresented.
Got any citations? All he's got is his crappy little Excel spreadsheets or whatever he's done with his purple writing.
Well, I mean, I just figured it was because he was heterosexual. Like most heterosexuals don't do very good design work, not a whole lot of bells and whistles and frills on the aesthetic side of the layout. No pink.
Oh no, he's got unicorns and fairies all over that shit.
That's a good one, Lemon.
True. You're not wrong, Lemon. You're not wrong.
Well, that John's a heterosexual and he's really shit at designing his arguments.
Where are the straight guy?
Heterophobia. Heterophobia. Lemon, you've got to cut that out.
Let's face it, Lemon would have a better chance arguing that as a definitive than he would for supporting Chemo's point on, the flat Earth.
I don't know. I hardly anyone would argue with him.
Yeah. but I bet you. Hang on, Gem. I bet you my next super chat, which will be like Monday morning for me, because you'll get one. I bet you that super chat that John would absolutely test strips off Lemon for saying that.
Well, I mean, the cause would probably be the independent variable, and he has the citation to back it up, and I believe him. I think we were just having little, nitpicky differences about the numbers of variables.
Why would you believe him? But why believe him? I mean, after all the lies he tells, why would you believe anything he says?
Well, you believe somebody who helps guide, intelligible action. Ideally one independent variable with one dependent variable that you focus on in an experiment would help, establish some good science.
No, it's fundamentally broken. It literally is broken. Obviously, there are multiple causes for things. And if you pretend that there aren't, how are you doing science?
Yeah, I guess you'd focus on one, for the most rigorous science, but, when you're looking at these science papers, if, you can understand any of this physics stuff or whatever, they don't normally say, this is my independent variable, and this is my dependent variable. It's kind of implied in the paper, so that will
also because nobody does those, like, kindergarten level experiments.
Fire.
Like forest fires. If you want to check what the cause of a forest fire is, you can find all kinds of different independent variables you could manipulate that would affect whether or not forest fires occur. For example, go ahead, interrupt.
Yep, go ahead, interrupt him.
Multiple things. So if you want to do an experiment, you can use.
He was telling you when you stopped him. Why don't you just let him finish? Bloody hell, Chemo, you make it really frustrating to listen to when you do this.
That's the objective.
Badgering people rather than just listening to them.
But I can hear Scott quite clearly. What's your problem?
If you can barely hear me, Kimo, why in the world is your instinct to then overtalk me? But why is your instinct to overtalk if you can barely hear me? Wouldn't your instinct be to be quiet so you can listen?
No.
I was asking a question.
Oh, obviously he didn't hear you. Obviously he didn't hear you.
My question was, wouldn't your instinct be to not overtalk if I was quiet? Cool. Did you have another question? What was the question again? Remind me.
What are the multiple causes of this the forest fire?
So, like, if you want to do experiments on what's the cause of forest fires, right? You can manipulate a bunch of different independent variables, and they're going to affect the outcome. The dependent variable being likelihood of forest fires, so the number of forest fires, and you could pick a huge number of different factors. You could pick we're going to adjust how wet the ground is, or how wet we're going to wet things down to varying degrees and check to see if we have more or less forest fires. We can do that with we can check to varying days of wind. We can we could literally even create artificial wind if we wanted to see, does that impact things. We could let people into the park or not let people into the park in various population groups. If we let in 100 people or 200 people, 1,000 people, does this make a difference? And it turns out, as if we do these things, all these things are going to make a difference because they're all contributing in some way or another to the situation, to this sort of crisis point where a fire actually sparks out. You need dry day, low water, high wind, a lot of people so that somebody makes a mistake, et cetera, et cetera.
Underbrush.
Yeah, underbrush. Yeah. So if you were to ask the question, okay, what's the right independent variable? There's no answer. What's the cause? Well, there's not really any answer. This is a multiple caused event. This is, many, many different things cause it. People could be one, yeah.
Could have no people.
That's one you could have, or you could ignore that one and you could just say, look at lightning strikes, for example. Mm-hmm. Well, it depends because there's some forest fires that are started in places where people can't go to. So if you were going to study those places, it's true. You're right. You wouldn't use people in that case. You'd use something else. But so it just depends on where you're looking at and what your possible variables are. Yes, multiple causes. That's right. A lot of things have to come together in order to create the. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
Well, I think you starting to stretch the language a bit, and when you say it like that, I don't know if the language really holds up when you do it that direction. I think the right way to say it is there are a lot of factors that influence the number of forest fires. These all can be considered independent variables in an experiment. These all are causally contributive. I don't know if the way you said it makes it sound a little bit absolute, and I think that's maybe a mistake. But so the way I'm saying it, I think is maybe the most accurate. These are all contributive causes. Yeah, if you had five, there'd be you say, oh yeah, these five contributed.
Yep.
Okay, I can
Something
give
like
you
that,
another independent variable too, Scott.
Cool. What would be?
A bird.
Yeah. How do the birds do it?
What they do is they find other fires, they pick up a burning ember, and they drop it in another area to scare up prey. So,
that's so crazy that happened in Australia this last time, right?
Yep.
They found birds were like spreading it. Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah, but it's not just one bird. It's actually like 2 or 3 birds coordinating to start another grassland fire to hunt out little rats and bilbies and stuff and eat them.
I've got a really flippant example. Anybody that has, children, there generally are two independent variables coming together to cause that child.